In 1877, Japan faced one of the most critical internal conflicts of its modern history, a revolt led by former samurai who refused to accept the rapid modernization of the country. Today, on Tales of History, we examine the causes, the events, and the consequences of the Satsuma Rebellion, the last stand of the samurai. To understand the Satsuma Rebellion, we must first look at the changes Japan experienced in the mid-19th century. Until 1868, Japan was ruled by the Tokugawa shogunate, a feudal military government that had maintained peace and isolation for over 250 years. However, growing pressure from Western powers, internal unrest, and dissatisfaction among various domains led to the collapse of the shogunate during the Meiji Restoration. The Meiji Restoration re-established the emperor as the symbolic head of state, but real power shifted to a group of reformers, many of them from former samurai families. Their goal was modernization politically, economically, and militarily. This included adopting Western technology, reforming the military, abolishing the feudal domain system, and centralizing power under the new government. These reforms had profound effects on Japan's traditional social structure. The samurai class lost its privileges, including the right to bear arms and the hereditary stipends that had supported them. In 1873, the government introduced universal conscription, allowing commoners to serve in the military and replacing the samurai as Japan's warrior class. The economy shifted from one based on land and rice taxation to a modern monetary system. For many samurai, these changes were not just inconvenient, they were humiliating. One region where dissatisfaction was particularly strong was Satsuma, located in southern Kyushu. Satsuma had been a powerful domain and a key player in overthrowing the shogunate. It was home to Saigō Takamori, a respected military leader and former member of the Meiji government. In 1873, Saigō resigned from his government position after disagreeing with other leaders over whether Japan should launch a military expedition against Korea, an idea known as the Seikanron debate. After his resignation, Saigō returned to Kagoshima in Satsuma. There, many disaffected samurai gathered around him, establishing private military academies. Although Saigō did not immediately advocate rebellion, tension between Satsuma and the central government increased. In late 1876, the situation escalated when the government attempted to suppress the Satsuma academies by sending spies into the region. When these agents were discovered and killed, conflict became almost inevitable. In February 1877, fearing government intervention, Saigō and his followers decided to act first. Gathering a force of around 15,000 men, mostly former samurai, they marched north toward Kumamoto Castle. Their stated goal was to petition the government, but in reality, the movement quickly became a full-scale rebellion. Kumamoto Castle was strategically vital. If captured, it would provide Saigō a strong foothold in Kyushu. On the 19th of February, 1877, Saigō's forces reached Kumamoto and began the siege. The castle was defended by a garrison of 3,800 soldiers under General Tani Tateki. Despite being outnumbered, the defenders were well trained and equipped with modern rifles and artillery. The siege dragged on for over a month. Attempts to storm the castle failed, and supplies for the rebels ran low. Meanwhile, the Meiji government mobilized reinforcements. By March, government forces made up of over 60,000 conscripts were advancing to relieve Kumamoto. One of the key battles of the rebellion took place at Tabaruzaka in March 1877. Around 9,000 imperial troops faced 15,000 rebel samurai. Heavy rains turned the battlefield into mud, creating miserable conditions for both sides. Despite fierce resistance, the rebels were gradually pushed back by superior numbers and firepower. The government forces made extensive use of modern rifles, and in some cases, early machine guns like the Gatling gun. After several days of brutal fighting, the rebels were forced to retreat. Following their defeat at Tabaruzaka and the failure to capture Kumamoto, Saigō's forces began a slow retreat south toward Kagoshima. Along the way, they fought a series of small battles, but were unable to halt the advancing government troops. Supplies of food and ammunition ran critically low. Morale among Saigō's men dropped sharply. Desertions increased. By August, only a few hundred loyal fighters remained. In September 1877, the remaining rebels made their last stand at Mount Shirayama, overlooking Kagoshima city. The Imperial Army, led by General Yamagata Aritomo and General Kawakami Soroku, surrounded the rebel position with over 30,000 troops. Trenches were dug, and artillery was brought in to bombard the rebels continuously. By the 24th of September, the final government assault began. The rebels, now fewer than 400, fought to the last man. During the battle, Saigō Takamori was wounded. According to some accounts, he requested a loyal retainer to assist him in committing seppuku, the traditional samurai suicide. With Saigō's death, the Satsuma Rebellion effectively ended. The defeat of the Satsuma Rebellion had significant consequences for Japan. It marked the final destruction of the samurai class as a political and military force. The Meiji government's authority was solidified. Modernization efforts accelerated without serious internal opposition. Japan continued to develop a modern army, navy, and infrastructure. Heavy war costs placed a burden on Japan's economy, leading to higher taxes and financial reforms. Ironically, Saigō Takamori, once branded a traitor, became a national hero after his death. In 1898, he was posthumously pardoned by Emperor Meiji, and statues were erected in his honor, most famously in Tokyo's Ueno Park. The Satsuma Rebellion stands today as a major turning point in Japanese history. It symbolized the clash between tradition and modernization, and the sacrifices required to build a new nation. Thank you for watching this episode of Tales of History. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and explore our other stories written by history. Join us next time as we continue to uncover the pivotal moments that shaped the world.